back here at the Hall of History, and today we're going to take a look at big business emerges. Again, we're looking at the post-Civil War era here up to about the turn of the century. Well, big business really took off about this time, and it really was held in the hands of a few people. And one of these people was Andrew Carnegie. Came over from Scotland as a child and became a self-made millionaire, and he started some innovations that are still used today. Management technique. He started making better products and at lower prices. Again, the whole idea of making a mass production. He encouraged competition to increase production and cut costs. You know, that's the old idea of the free market society. He only hired the best and invested in them in the company's performance, bonuses, and the like. Many of these ideas are still with us today. Andrew Carnegie, as he went on in life, he had one of his biggest companies was really Carnegie Steel, which he sold to U.S. Steel. And then he really gave a lot of the money back to libraries. There are many, many Carnegie libraries throughout the United States. What new ideas did big business incorporate? Well, once he started getting businesses, there was two major components of business strategy. And one is vertical integration. Control every single aspect of a company from the resource production through sales. Henry Ford, the Ford Company, he used this, got his own steel, and controlled all the processes. Horizontal consolidation by all the competing companies in a single industry. This would be something to the effect of, if you had a internet provider or a cable provider, and they would just buy up all the businesses, so there would be no competition at all. As you guys get along in your career, you'll start looking at these, especially take some business classes here. At this time also, there was a whole social issue here. Herbert Spencer was an Englishman and kind of interesting character. He fairly philosophical, but he pretty much coined the whole idea with social Darwinism. So remember Darwinism, survival of the fittest. Well, he pretty much talked about in business, it was the survival of the fittest. Those companies that could survive, no matter how they did it, many times they were ruthless, they would succeed. At this time, money equaled success. Very few people controlled most of these large corporations. Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan, in banking, investments, Carnegie, and people worked for them. So it's kind of interesting that these few people really controlled a large financial part of the country. Especially J.P. Morgan at one time, he was more wealthier than the United States. It's kind of interesting at this time, the wealthy are seen as blessed by God. I guess you can take that however you want to feel about that. These people also pretty much live by the idea of pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. They did not expect anybody to do anything for them. Government was not there to fall back on in case things didn't go well. You know, if they didn't go well, they failed, they got up and tried again. And it was a very, very interesting time period that people could come from literally nothing, as many of these people did, and become very, very rich. Big business expanded. They continued to grow and to consolidate or bring all their companies together. And here's some terms you're going to need to know. An oligopoly, and it's a market with only a few sellers for each product. Petroleum, one. You think about John D. Rockefeller with Standard Oil. A monopoly, situation where one company controls all of the market. I don't know if this is true so much anymore. Comcast used to be a big player. It was interesting in Major League Baseball until about 1970-ish. it was pretty much monopoly. It was the owners that controlled all this. A holding company, corporation that only buys stocks of other companies to control them, and this still goes on too. A holding company, they do not run the company per se, but they control the financial resources. And a trust, taking a whole bunch of companies and putting them under one umbrella. And you still see trusts out there today. All these things still go on. Most businesses would like to be a monopoly in their market, where they control the market. That's where you're going to make your money. Well, the leaders at this time, they were called the robber barons. Baron was a feudal lord, if you remember back from your world history. And they were fairly ruthless. They were not well liked. Many people thought they did not take care of their workers very well, and that they made money off the little guy. And hence they were given the nickname of the robber barons. And you can see one of the political cartoons down there. They were not a well thought of group of people. A few of the more famous ones: John D. Rockefeller, Rockefeller Center Plaza. I'm sure you heard of that, in New York City. Andrew Carnegie, Carnegie Hall. As I mentioned before, Carnegie later in his life gave much money to libraries, and there's many libraries, especially out east, that are called Carnegie libraries. J.P. Morgan, Chase Morgan Bank. And all the robber barons' big business bypassed, they really didn't go down to the south at all because of its limited resources and capital. And if you remember, when we talked about the south, it was more of an agricultural. The industry was really centered in north of the Mason-Dixon line. And really, you think about it, in the Northeast, and then it started getting into Pennsylvania in the Midwest, especially as oil and petroleum was found in Pennsylvania. I'm going to start putting at the end of these lectures on links to some of the ideas and maybe some of the people you might want to take a look at. Put on here Carnegie, fascinating story on Carnegie. Definitely well worth the short little read here. Another one on John D. Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan. Herbert Spencer, kind of philosophical type from England. And one might get a little boring, but the other, the top three, definitely they're short reads. And I got these from the biography channel. And interesting, very, very interesting people. So there's our short look at the whole idea of these industrialists, if you will. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in class.